So I think today we're just gonna have fun with like bells and whistles, right? And of course, see, the learning component of this, and I don't mean to minimize it because I can promise you two things are true. One, stock options, especially short-dated stock options, 99% of them expire worthless. The volatility is through the roof, and anybody that has ever done them has lost money. And anyone that doesn't know about them is like, Ant, that's well beyond what I even am like, no, I have no interest. I've never even traded a stock. Now you want me to trade stock options? He's a derivative con. So that's true. The other part that's true is that they're actually quite easy. And the easy component of it is that you could set up limit orders. All right, if this hits this, buy. If this hits this, sell. Now, we all could understand that sounds really easy. Yeah, it's similar to like your grandmother makes you lasagna and says, put it in the oven at 450 for 50 minutes. And you're like, okay, great. The oven at 450 for 50 minutes, I have the most amazing lasagna. Well, that doesn't mean you made it. It means that you could follow simple directions. The hard part was actually making the lasagna, the special sauce, blah, 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 blah. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make the lasagna, and I can't tell you what to do, right? Because this isn't advisorship or anything like that. Hey, Alexis. But should you want to eat rhino lasagna, I guess, just follow the directions of putting it in the oven and how long to put it in. Okay, great. You got to remember, stocks, financial markets, and especially options are the most competitive markets in the entire world. More competitive than sports, the Olympics, anything. Because you have the most cunning, the most educated, the most information gathering resources that are all built on the largest amount of aggregate financial assets, all with one goal in mind: to make money by you losing money, right? I want to buy that from you because I believe I can buy it from 5 and sell it for 10. I want to sell this to you because I believe I can sell it for 10 before it goes to 5, right? Nobody cares about anyone's feelings. It's just one goal: make money. And it's why I kind of believe Wall Street's one of the most beautiful organisms in the world, in that it's completely, transparently nefarious and malevolent, right? And a lot of people will argue, well, Wall Street funds businesses that become larger business. Yeah, they do. Okay, great. So if you do one little thing, we're supposed to like say everything else is like you're Michael Jackson, right? You made a couple of good songs and let's just pretend none of the other stuff happened. Wall Street is so malevolent that it's so beautiful because they're only malevolent. They only care about money. So when you're trading stocks, for those that are new to it, very commonly you'll say, oh my God, I always lose. Yeah. Do you know who's on the other side of that stock trade? It's like the most vicious, cunning, like animal in the world. Just think about someone with 666 on his forehead and horns coming out of his ears. That's literally who's on the other side of every trade you make. But because the globe is so large and because there's so many participants in it, that works really to the benefit of the nefarious ones, because they can say, well, if I know more than the average person, and times 2, times 3, times 4, then theoretically I can make a trade that will be timed better than somebody else would have timed it, right? Like I know something before they know it, or I can trick X amount of people because I'm smarter and I have more information than that many people. Therefore, I can buy this and sell it before the bad or good thing happens. And that works very much in their favor. So if you're in an environment where you know more than everyone else, you have a good opportunity to really maneuver and get the outcome that you'd like. Where Rhino finds our lane is in behavioral economics and behavioral, analysis, I guess, really. Hey, Andy, is in that because those people are so singularly focused, and because they are people, we have two constants, right? These aren't variables. They are people, right? So like if I punch them in the face, they might bleed a little bit. Like Ivan Drago in Rocky IV, he's only a man, he's human, right? And they only want to make money. Nobody on Wall Street says, I'm going to make this trade and I'm going to do it because I want to lose 10%. They don't. So you have two constants. So if they're human, and it's about money, well, behavioral economics kind of covers that, right? So if you're really good at behavioral economics, then you can find your Now, Anthony, a lot of people are good at behavioral economics. There's a lot of degrees. Why, like, what makes you special? Well, I think I'm special, first of all. Second of all, you have to have lost a lot. Anthony, a lot of people have lost. I get all that. There's a lot more components to it. There's a lot, right? But you bring it all forward and you realize that what we're doing over here with TED is building something that is much larger than trading stocks, right? Like, this isn't what we do. In fact, it's so much larger that we use the stock market to test, right? Like while everyone else is going crazy trying to make money in the stock market, we're making money incidental to our goals. I have no interest in making money in the stock market. It's nice. I now like it. I'm looking to continue it, but that wasn't my goal. What makes the stock market so beautiful is it's very easy to see winners and losers. Did you make money? Yes. Then you won. Did you lose money? Yes. Then you lost. It's bifurcated and very binary, 1 and 0. Did you make money? Did you lose money? And how is that money being made or lost? Well, there's somebody somewhere buying a stock. At the very same time, there's somebody somewhere selling a stock. Why are they doing those things? Well, I don't know. I don't know all of them. If you think I know the person in Russia, China, and anywhere that's just like buying, I have no clue. But can I identify their buying behavior? Yeah. Not a single person. No single person can move a stock, right? But if I see this stock exhibits these particular characteristics in this particular context, at this particular duration, at this particular time, at this particular, and I can then identify and map similar sets, which is similar sets, and then overlap them to aggregate the Punnett square part of it, and then take that to infinity and bring it to the depths of your soul, and you'll realize I'm talking only about a fraction of what we're actually doing. Then you can probably say to yourself, well, if he's able to know that every time somebody calls someone a racist name, that they get punched in the face, well, if he knows that, well, then he can build an economy around that to make money for that, right? And the point of that example is something that's very obvious, right? Like if you get hit by a car crossing a road, I can promise you the next time you cross the road, you're going to look right and left. Because if you don't, you deserve to get hit by that second car. And if you do get hit by that second car, you're definitely looking right and left the next time, which actually, as silly as that analogy is, it's actually quite perfect. I'm going to tell you why, because we're going to get into the show and tell of this all in a minute. What we've done is identified exhaustion. And what I mean by that is, I don't know why anyone buys a stock, presumably because they want to make money. Well, actually, that is the reason they're buying it. But the reasons they buy it, I don't know. I don't know the reason somebody sells a stock, but I presume it's because they believe it's going to go down. But I don't know the reasons they believe it's going to go down, right? Okay. So now let's say somebody buys a stock. And we're talking about the market as a whole. They buy a stock. Okay, so if the whole market buys a stock, it goes up. Okay. Now let's assume they buy it again. And again. And again. And again. It sounded like Herb Brooks from Miracle, the US hockey team against Russia in 1980. Again. Again. Okay, great. Well, presumably at some point, that stock is going to dip down because the only two possibilities of a market buying a stock every day is that it's either going to go up in infinity or it's going to eventually come down. Those are the only two outcomes. So what is the level to identify the exhaustion of it going up? Now, here's the thing. In retrospect, anyone can say, well, duh, like, look how easy that was. That thing went up for 40 days in a row. And then he said it was going to go down and it went down. Durr. That thing went down 40 days in a row. And then he said it was going to go up. Durr. It had to happen at some point. Granted, on a one-off in hindsight, I think you're completely fair for saying that. But I also think that there was probably somebody that said, oh, well, this thing is down 30 days in a row, I'm going to buy it. And they lost money the next 10 days. And they lost so much money that when it did go back up, it didn't go up enough to offset the money they lost for 10 days, right? Like if I buy something at 10 that used to be 40 and it goes down to 5, well, I lost $5. Just because it then goes up to 6 doesn't mean I'm a genius. It means I lost 50%, which means I needed to make 100% just to get back to even, but instead I made 20%, which means I'm still down 40%. And just trust me on all those numbers, right? But what if you were smart enough to say, okay, I'm going to buy it at $5 and then I'm going to sell it at $6. Well, Ant, now you're talking about something that's like, who can really spot the bottom, right? You're trying to buy a falling knife. You're trying to catch a falling knife. You're trying to say that you can top tick. You can tell me when the stock hit the top and you can tell me when the stock hit the bottom. Yes and no, right? So I am saying that, but I'm not saying that I can do it with 100% accuracy. In fact, so much so that when I do this, I do it in increments, right? So I do it in 5 stages. When I look to build a position, I do it in fifths. Okay, I think now's the time. I'm going to buy the first fifth. Okay, if I was wrong, I'm going to buy the second fifth. If I was still wrong, I'm going to buy the third fifth, and obviously to the fifth fifth. By the time it gets to the fifth fifth, I should have been right. If I'm not right, I'll hang out for like 2 or 3 days. And then it's like, okay, something went wrong. There's something, I did not know what I did not know, and I had to just sell it at a loss. Now, since we started this new trades, that was on August 26th. We have had 3 different stocks we have lost money on. One of them was really, really quite ugly. And it actually changed what we had to do with the coding, and that's fine. You have a loss, something went wrong. It's only a loss if you don't learn from it. If you just say, oh, hope that never happens again, well, then you're like an IDIOT. And I don't aim to be that. If I do, it's incidental to what I'm actually trying to do. So we went into it, identified what we did wrong, mapped out how we can identify if that ever happened again. And in fact, it did happen again. And on that situation, we made 5% rather than losing, I think like 80% on the one before it. So that was quite good. And then the other 2 stocks that we had lost money on, it's a little bit unfair to say it was 2 times because what we didn't notice was that they actually were in a merger. So if one did something, the other one did it by default. And when we were mapping the behavior of these stocks, without knowing that they were going through a merger, we were unable to identify the correct variables because now this one's doing this, but it's not for this reason, which meant we had to go back into TED and find a way that TED can go ahead and identify these particular situations by mapping the financial news source of the internet and then assigning values to them to then for those values to be accepted within the algorithm to then say, if this, then that. When I say this relaunch is something that I'm quite comfortable launching and making sure, or at least saying out loud that I really truly believe everyone's going to do quite well and be quite impressed, it's because the little things that I just shared with you, which sound like, Anthony, you did what? Are they things that we're constantly doing every time something goes against us? Because again, what we've done with the stock market is we've taken it and created a data source of it. And the reason we did that was because going back to the original point of view, the stock market is so simplistic and it's people trying to make money. That's all they want and that's all they do. Since September 16th, we have not lost on any trade. That's 13 trades consecutively that we have not lost any money on. Now, since September 16th, it's now October 21st, 30 days had September, which means there's 30 days in September. So 30 minus 16 is 24. There's now 21 days. That's 35 days. Divided by 7, because there's 7 days in a week, it's 5 weeks. Each week has only 5 days, because Saturday and Sunday you don't trade. So on 25 stock trading days, we've made 13 consecutive trades, all profitable. That means we're making at least 1 profitable trade every 2 days. And we're still ramping that up. Now, how do we source that, right? So you have to really, so to find the exact criteria that we're looking for, It's not like okay, go spend 10 minutes looking at the stock market. No, we're sourcing every S&P 500 stock. There's 500 of them. Every Dow stock, every S&P, every NASDAQ stock, every Russell stock. There's 2,000 of them. Every ADR, these are American Depository Receipts, which are stocks from every other country. Crypto stocks, inverse ETFs, every ETF, like, and in doing all of this, if we're lucky, on any given day, are able to identify 10 stocks that we put in our pipeline. Pipeline meaning they can become 100% actionable by the following day. So everything that I've just described so far, all of that is in that board that I sent you in the email. Pretty cool, right? So that's the whole making of the lasagna. Now you just need to like put it in. Yeah, Mayor. You need to put it in, put it on 450, 50 minutes, depending on how long it's frozen. Did you defrost it at all? And just set it and forget it. Okay, great. But I'm still the grandmother that made the lasagna that's now emailing you every day. Hey, listen, I'm going to do this. Make sure you check the clock. Did you put it on 450? I'll be emailing you at 1 o'clock to let you know what I'm doing. And you're like, oh, thank goodness, because I started watching football. I forgot the lasagna was in there. Thank God grandma's there whipping her like a spoon, saying, hello, what are you doing? Limit orders are exactly what it sounds like. If this hits this limit, then do this. It's kind of like calling your boyfriend or your girlfriend saying, if the Chinese place is booked at 8 o'clock, call the Italian place. If this, then that. So if the Chinese place is booked at 8 o'clock, call the Italian place. If the Chinese place is not booked at 8 o'clock, book there. Which means you know what's going to happen because you've directed a very simplistic this or that order to somebody that you find to be fairly competent. And maybe I'm being quite generous to your boyfriend or girlfriend. But I can promise you that I'm that competent, so please date me. Huh? Calls is exactly what it sounds like. I'm calling something from you. So if I want to call something from you, the presumption is that you're going to have something worth callable. Meaning, if I see a stock is $10 and I believe it's going to go to $15, well, that's a stock going up 50%. I don't believe the mass populace all believe this thing's going to go up 50%, because if they did, they'd buy it and it would be at 15, right? Like, that's what's beautiful about the market. You don't need to think about what people are thinking. If they thought that, it would have happened. Okay, so now I say to, and we'll use Mary as an example, hey, Mayor, you have ABC stock. It's $10. I believe it's going to go to 15. Mary's like, well, I think you're crazy, but, you know, keep talking. And I'm like, okay, I want the opportunity on contract that I can call that stock away from you no matter the price of it on the 15th of November. And Mary's like, okay, but like, I'm not just gonna do that for free. Like, because what if this thing goes to 100? You wanna just call this stock away from me at, I don't know, like at 15? Yes, I do. Okay, fine. Well, I'm going to charge you $1 for that. Only $1? Well, yeah. So now Mary's saying, if you want to call this stock away from me, no matter what price it is, at $15, which means you're going to pay me $15 no matter what the price is. So if the stock goes to 100, you have the right to only give me $15. I'm going to charge you $1 for it, which means I now have to give her $16. So I bought that call option from her for $1. Now $1 each contract, option contract, is 100 shares. So that $1 is actually $100. So I just invested $100 that this stock is going to go higher than 15. Okay, now as this stock starts going up, that call option starts increasing in price, because the likelihood that this stock goes over 15 is now becoming more likely because the stock has been increasing. Now Mary's sitting there like, oh, darn it, this guy was actually right. I thought he was crazy. If I knew that, I would have charged him more. And I'm quite happy because I own this $1 thing that's, maybe it's now worth $2, right? Who knows? But now I own it. So now all the other people that have come late are now like, wait a second, I actually think that thing's gonna go over 15. Now that I've seen all this good stuff happen, I wanna buy that right from you, Anthony, to take it away from you if it goes to 15. And I'm like, hey buddy, I already thought it was gonna go over 15. but I paid $1 for this. I'll sell it to you for $2. And he's like, okay, great. I got a great deal. So he buys it from me for $2. So I bought it for $1 and I sold it for $2. So I'm happy because I made 100% of my investment. Now I don't really care where the thing goes. See you later. That's how stock options work. And put is the same thing, but opposite. I want to be able to put this to somebody. So for instance, if I think a stock that is $100 is going to go down to 90, I want to go ahead and buy the opportunity to say, hey, listen, this thing is $100. I think it's going to go to 90. I want the opportunity to make you buy this from me for $90, regardless of what the price of the stock is. Even if the stock is $50, you need to pay me $90 for it. And they're like, I think you're crazy, but whatever. I'm going to charge you $1 for it, which means no matter what, now they got to pay me $89 instead of 90, so 90 minus the dollar. So now I own this option for $1. Now let's say the stock goes from 100 down to 95. Well, now the option is likely increased because the stock is now coming down. So all the participants of the market are saying, maybe this thing really is going to go down. I want to buy and be able to put this stock out at 90 as well. What's the going market rate? Oh, well, the going market rate's maybe around $2 at that point. Well, I own it. I own it at $1. You want to buy it from me? Okay, fine. $2. Here you go. I made 100% again. That's how these things fluctuate. Now there's more variables to it because there's how much time and how much intrinsic value, meaning how close is it to that strike price, that 90, and how much time is left to get there. What we're doing is only looking for that 20% gain. So I'm not looking for 100% gain. I want 20%. Boom, bing, bing, boom. Meaning if I'm able to find it at that top or at that low and do it within a first fifth, second fifth, third fifth, then presumably I would have caught that bottom or caught that top. And if I'm only looking for 20%, if the whole world is so negative or the whole world is so optimistic and you catch the turning point, well, presumably you could make 20% like that. Welcome to TED Trades. Sell limit orders are quite easy. It's the buy limit orders that are going to be a little difficult. And what do I mean by that? Okay. So Ant, you told me that when this thing becomes 100% actionable, which I really don't understand yet because you haven't touched on that, but okay, 100% actionable. You want to buy it, you want to buy that call or buy that put. Yes. But Ant, that's not going to happen for like X amount of hours. How am I going to know what the price is going to be when we get there? You won't. But you could estimate it, right? Yeah. But if you go ahead and estimate the price, well, you really leave yourself quite open to getting a very, very bad price. Because let's say, for instance, the stock overshoots estimations and you bought it like 50% higher than you should have bought it, right? So in order to buy these things, what I do, because my system, and again, everyone talks about their system. I built my system, right? So I built it. It's mine, which means I built it for a particular reason. I have built it so that I can correlate it, the actionability of it. Oh my God, say all of that, right? I correlated the actionability of it to time. Okay. So for this thing to become 100% actionable, it needs to do this, and it has to do it at this time. Okay, what that allows me to do is that as long as I know the time before the time, so this thing will become actionable 11:30 a.m. tomorrow, well then all I need to do is check at 11:30 a.m. tomorrow, which means I can now plan my day accordingly. I have this, but at 11:30 I need to quickly check over here because if this is this, then I need to take a minute to do something, right? Okay. Yes, buying is difficult to forecast, but if you can at least forecast the time of that purchase, well, then you can schedule to have 5 minutes to facilitate that purpose. Okay, great. And I can do that. I can find 5 minutes in my life to make, I don't know, $20,000. Great. I'm very happy for you. Welcome to Rhino or TED Trades. TED Trades and Rhino, right? Okay. Now to sell whatever the thing is, whether it's be the call or the put, that limit is quite easy because now let's say you bought this option at $1, right? Like we're just using $1 and you want to make 20%. Well, I'll give you an opportunity to get a calculator, but 20% of a dollar or 20% on a dollar is $1.20. So when I buy this option at $1, I simultaneously say, okay, now I want to sell it. I want to sell it at a limit. I will only sell this if it goes to $1.20. I want this to be good for the next 60 days. These are all part of a limit order. They're buttons, bing, 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 and then submit. Now what you've done is you are able to step away and say, okay, outside of any interaction by me, two things are going to happen. Either A, this is going to be a complete failure and this thing is going to expire worthless, or B, this thing is automatically going to sell at a 20% profit. Now, I understand that those two outcomes are quite different. Like one is really good and one is really bad. So it will take a little bit of like you minding the shop. Now, again, going back to the whole lasagna thing, I'm minding the shop. I'm sending the email saying, oh, hey, I'm now buying the second fifth. Because once you buy your first fifth, via the conversation we're having right now, you're going to say to yourself, well, this is only the first fifth. There's five occurrences in fifths. Therefore, I'm giving myself enough time to know that I could be wrong 4 consecutive times. Well, if I'm wrong 4 consecutive times, that means I have to be able to be available to take advantage of each one of those wrongs by adding the rest of my position. But Ant, you kind of said set it and forget it, and now you're telling me I'm kind of roped into this. No. Because again, remember that whole time thing? I know when I'm going to buy my second fifth. I know when I'm going to buy my third fifth. So when I purchase the fifth, I say in the email, just purchase my first fifth. I will be buying my second fifth if still available by around 11:30 or 1:30, which means you and your schedule can say one of two things. Either A, I'm going to be available at 1:30, or B, I really don't have that much flexibility in my schedule, but I know I can check at some point later. I'll check later. And, if I missed purchasing it, think about the definition of that. I missed it, which means it went up from the purchase price, which means your position, which was down, is no longer down. The only thing you missed was the opportunity to double down on how large your position would be. So even in the event that you missed what I'm doing, the outcome of the definition of missed is beneficial to you, because the alternative is, say I double down, I buy something at $1, right? And then I double down and buy it at 90 cents. And say by the time you check, it's now 85 cents. Are you now happy that you missed when I bought it? Yes. So the only outcomes that you can actually have by missing what I'm doing is either you missed the opportunity to double down because now it's higher than where you could have bought it, or you're able to buy it lower than where I did, giving you a better price than I have. Now, again, this all is based on the presumption that it eventually turns profitable, which again is a big presumption to have. Well, Anthony, all of this sounds great if we know that the stock is then going to go up and make money. But if it doesn't go up and make money, now we're all just rearranging the chairs of the deck of the Titanic. Like we're all just buying things and it's just going to go lower, lower, and lower. Welcome to investing. Welcome to the stock market. Welcome to, if you believe anything's 100%, then you are certifiably insane and should not be trusted with money ever for the rest of your life. And that's not me saying it, that's the world saying it, because if you actually believe everything, there are people that will just take all your money and you will have no money. So if you have no money at some point, it's because the world took it from you, because you're not responsible with it. So, and I say that out of experience, right? Like we've all been there. But anyway, so that's where we go back to how many stocks do you go through every day? What are the criteria? How is it that you this is the algorithm, this is what you factor, blah, blah, blah. Now, before we get into the show and tell, I also don't believe that I am done learning what I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. In fact, the amount, so I don't believe, like I don't know what I don't know. So I still play QC, quality control. I make sure that I'm at, anything that I do is not just Ted doing it. Ted does everything but press the button. I press the button. So if Ted is going to do something or says to do something, I then have my own brain I've been in the financial market since, remember, I've been doing options since I was 10 years old. I'm now 38. That's almost 30. Oh my God. That's 28 years of being familiar, like intimately familiar. Like if I didn't get this right, I didn't get allowance that week. Or if I didn't get it right, I was unable to pay rent. Like this is my life. That familiar with options, that's a wealth of knowledge that I'm able to see things. So when you take that wealth of knowledge and that algorithm, put it together, we have a pretty good program here. That's TED. If you take that, multiply it by infinity, bring it down to the depths of your soul, you kind of get a glimpse of what we're doing. Okay, great. And the satisfaction, the taste of grandma's lasagna is in everything that's made. So when we have, say, 13 short-dated option trades consecutively, at least one every 2 days for over a month period of time, there are certain things that are coincidence, there are certain things that are luck, and then there are certain things, anyone that's ever done stocks or options, and I welcome that individual to tell me, well, Ant, I so commonly see somebody purchase short-dated options and make profit 13 times in a row in a 1-month streak. In fact, I see that so often that even a caveman could do it. Because I know what I had to do it, and I wear scars that you don't even know exist. So how that all affects what your experience is, every morning, 8 a.m., the daily email starts with what our current position is. So for instance, today, we own put options on a financial stock, Fidelity Management. And coming into today, we were negative, I think, 1.24%. So it tells you the price we purchased at, what the current price of it is, what our sell limit price is, and what the current performance is. Okay. Then you have TED's top trades. And I believe, and we really try hard to get to 10. Then under that, I have notable trades. And what these are these are particular tickers, stocks, that are representative of something larger. So for instance, in today's notable is FAZ. FAZ is an ETF that profits when the financial index comes down. For an entire index to now be triggering, and it being the financials, is important. Because if all of a sudden you have every financial stock going down the same day, well, why would that happen? Well, something happened, right? Like interest rates, or like a global event, or a policy, like something happened for every financial stock to go down. Now, that doesn't mean it's ever going to trigger 100%. In fact, it's only triggered at 68%, but it's notable because the stock that we're in right now that we own puts in, believing it's going to come down, is a financial. So our financial is triggering at 112%. At the same time, the entire index is triggering at 68%. So what does that make me feel? It makes me feel quite comfortable that I'm in the right place. So I own the stock. I own the put options, and I firmly believe I'm going to make money on it, right? But now I know what to watch. You see, it's not just trading. This is where the brain of it comes, right? I know now what I'm looking for. I know, and I'm like, okay, I'm comfortable with my position. Great. And then under that, do I have anything? Oh, is the commentary. So I'll write a brief commentary. And sometimes it's not so brief. In fact, I'll tell you this, when I start buying the 4th fifth and the 5th fifth of something, I get so mad. And I'm like, what did I miss? How have I been wrong 3-4 times in a row? Which is pretty cool because I have it built for me to be wrong 5 times. Like it's built for me to be wrong 5 times to be right. I try to be right 1 time. If I'm wrong 5 times, I'm still right because it's built wrong 5 times. So that's how I manage myself, because although I believe that I'm like completely infallible and perfect and tall and handsome and charismatic and funny and blah, 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 judging by my divorce, there are other people that seem not to believe the same thing, and that's fine, right? So I know I'm going to be wrong, even though I don't believe I'm going to be wrong, but it's built for me to be wrong. But when I get to the 4th time and the 5th time, in the most helpful way, I get totally psychotic because I'm like, what am I missing? And if you could imagine someone, imagine a detective being told that the evidence is in the room, and he's gone through the room and can't find the evidence. And then he's told, you have one more shot to go through that room. Imagine what he does to that room. Everything is thrown all over the place. That's what I do, but in a nice couple of paragraphs. So really what you should take of this is, A, I'm going to make the lasagna. B, I'm going to give you directions on how to cook it. C, I'm going to be there to check in on you while you're cooking it. And D, if I find that the cooking is not going correctly, I will be there to let you know because I'm in it with you, because I'm making the same lasagna at my house, and I'm going to say, this lasagna, something's not right about it. This is what I'm doing. In all of those components, you will A, always know what I'm doing. B, you will always have the opportunity to copy what I'm doing. C, you will always have the opportunity to do whatever you want to do. And D, you will always have the opportunity to schedule very easy, simple steps on your own time. And E, you will never be surprised by anything that I did or that you should have done or an outcome that happened, because you will always be properly managed in your expectations during A, B, C, D, culminating in E. So that's the pitch, I guess, right? But I don't really need to pitch people that are already a part of it. So let's get to show and tell a little bit. So these are the four intervals I'm always looking at. 4 hours, meaning each bar is a 4-hour bar. Each bar here is a 2-hour bar. Each bar here is a 3-hour bar. Each bar here is a 1-day bar. Let's zoom into this 2-hour bar, since this is what I'm actually looking at. So what you'll see here is it is at a 37. For me, for it to be 100% actionable, it hits a 33. Now, that's where how do you make the lasagna comes in, because how we got that number is completely proprietary to me, right? Like that's the secret I take to the grave. But that being said, once it hits a 33, it becomes 100% actionable. So what one would say is, well, Ant, it seems like you've been wrong for quite some time. Like it's a 37. Yes. And that's why coming into today, I've been down 1.24%. But I believe it's going to come down. Every one of my beliefs is factored into these numbers, first of all. So the things that I'm going to say to you is no longer opinion. It's coded algorithm, but I'm sharing it. So as you see this stock going up, you see the volume coming down. So now the volume's coming up over here. So this is the move of the stock, where all of these individuals are the really, really smart ones. These ones believe this is going to happen, which is why you can see more people buying it as it goes up. Look at it going up. There's more people buying it, right? Okay, but now what you see is as it continues going up, there's less people buying it. Now this blue line is a 10-day moving average of the volume. So when you see the blue line going down, the average volume over the previous 10 days is decreasing. So you see it's moving down, and more so towards the end, you see the stock continuing going up, but now it looks like it's kind of crescendoed. Ooh, you just saw the 37 disappear. That's pretty cool. We just saw it in real time. So it looks like now it's really about to maybe take a bit of a dip. So you see the crescendo here. So you see the volume lower, right? Lower, 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 and you have to squint a little bit, but you can see it. Let's kind of pull it up. And you can see it lower. Okay, great. And in fact, the stock had reached as low as, and if you look at the bottom right, $90.18. So it dropped a whole dollar already today. But now it recovered to the middle, and it looks like it's presuming that that's down. So it was my belief, according to TED, that at this point, the stock marked a turning point where it was telling me that it was going to start moving lower. Okay, so that is the current position we're in. And I would like to buy more of it, but I think I'm already profitable on it, so I don't think I'm going to have the opportunity to buy more on it. Be that as it may, such is life. But what about other stocks? Now, this one I ended up not getting into because this was at the end of the day, and I was like, you know what, I'll just do it tomorrow morning because I don't like taking risk overnight if I don't have to. Well, this risk would have worked out because look, 35, and then boom. Okay, Ant, that's pretty cool. What about some others? Now look at Ross stores. Now this is on the opposite end. Now 25 becomes actionable for us, but it also has to be red and green. 25 red and green becomes actionable. So as you can see, 25, it's green, but not red. Okay, 26, it's not red and it's not green. Okay, 27, boom, look at that, becomes red and green. So this is where we stepped into purchase. 28, it went lower, but still red and green. 29, it went lower. So this is Anthony doing the first fifth, the second fifth, the third fifth. Over here, it's still lower. Fourth fifth. So this is where Anthony writes that email, like, I'm going to throw my computer out a window. Okay, bing, 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 right? Eli Lilly, here we go. So that's a 1 day chart. So let's pull this to one chart and let's make this chart 1 day. Because again, we're making the bars correlate. Okay, so this is where it happened. So Anthony, I can't see that, I know. So here we go. So it hit 33. And that's when we bought our first fifth. And then boom, right? So you have a stock that's nonstop going up. So any point in time, any of these individuals could have said, oh, this has been going up for a long time, I'm going to buy puts. Yeah, okay, have fun with that. This has been going up for a long time, I'm going to buy puts. This has been going up for a long time, I'm going to buy blah, 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 blah. But only this individual would have made money. Literally, only this person. Do you think it's a coincidence it was 33? Maybe partially, because we allow ourselves 5 times to be wrong. But this is what the system is built for. So when I say we have the ability, or at least we built the system to allow a set it and forget it mentality, that's not meant to be trivial or reckless. It's meant to be, by design, it's almost like Viagra, in the sense that all of the hours spent creating the drug are done. Now, to go ahead and take that drug and make it and distribute it, it's a factory. Beep, 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 pills, 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 here, buy, buy, buy. You don't need to go ahead and do all the research and science to make every single pill. You automated what creates that little tiny pill. I think that was the first time anyone ever used the word tiny and Viagra in the same sentence. Because if they did, it probably wouldn't be a good drug, right? Anyway, but that's essentially, Mary, so what information do we get from TED and how often? So that goes back to the email. Every morning, everyone will get an 8 a.m. email, which I do every single day, or Monday through Friday. That is our current position, the top 10 board, notable tickers that have a representative, like if this happens, you know, Armageddon is around the corner type of thing, and a commentary where I'm giving you exactly, hey, this is what's going on, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm looking for, this is how I'm going to follow up with you today or tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. On top of that, you will get real-time emails during the day of when any moves are made, which are going to be moves that you're already expecting because I already would have managed your expectations for that. For the individual that says, hey, listen, I really just want to do a set it and forget it, I'm never going to check this during the day, I would say to them, you will have the opportunity to do so as long as you're willing to find 3 to 4 minutes, if needed, given a day's advance notice, to do so. If you're at least able to do that, you will still be successful in this program. Now, this is only the first call. I'm also going to do calls every Monday, meaning if you are dedicated and if you're motivated, then really all you need to do is, okay, I see what he's doing. I'm going to copy him when I feel comfortable, and I'm going to dip my toe in the copying of him. And if it inspires some organic ideas, I'm going to, do my own stuff as well. And at the very least, my worst case scenario is I can anchor myself to him. Like, what I'm basically offering is that at the very worst case scenario, as long as you're willing to dedicate at least 5 minutes a day, if you need to, with a 24-hour notice, if you're willing to do that, I'm willing to offer you my results as your worst case scenario. And my job is to make sure that my results are really, really good, which they are. I don't know why I made that face. I think I was like trying to, I don't know. Anyway, And I think that's okay. So that's kind of the scope of things. That's my blunt force bing. Actually, boom. Any questions, comments, concerns, email me. These are things that I will address in our next call. So we can really filter this down to everyone understands properly, everyone's quite pleased, everyone. And that's the goal. So I'm going to say goodbye, but I'm going to do it in 1 minute because before we said there was 11 minutes left till 11, and now I've gone over 10 minutes, and it would be super cool to end this 11 minutes late because 11, 11, 11, I don't know. I don't know what luck I need today, but I can promise you a little luck is not a bad thing in my life. So I love everyone. I really appreciate everyone being on this call. I appreciate everyone with us. I'm going to continue appreciating everything until that time turns 11, and I will appreciate everything more. But I appreciate God for letting me wake up today. Come on! All right. Hey, everyone. Okay, it's 11:11. Let's make trading great again, right? Love y'all. Bye.